When I participate in EGP, the earlier stages were characterized by more active facilitation. At times, it felt like one-on-one interviewing. Is this normal?
Well, that's an experiential question. I mean, I would love to create the experience for you, but it'll take some time to do that. Um, the it does, and this is a known thing. I mean, he's pointing out exactly what I would also have witnessed myself, or just even expected. Um, it's think of it as, at a given table, one-on-one interviews that are witnessed by other participants. And in the witnessing, if the question upgrade process is going on, then there's a kind of visceral experience of what the upgrade process is. So the subsequent interviews start to become less like interviews and more like conversations. And eventually, rather than conversing with the inquiry coach, people start conversing with each other. So it emerges naturally because, as the technique of question upgrades and the notion of how to ask questions and to dig into the sort of implementation question group into the sort of abstract question group, and then to move from how to why to what, and then to move from concrete forms into feeling forms, allows us to basically develop skillfulness in conversation that we didn't have when we entered the room. That means that we begin to notice how to do question upgrades on our peers that are in the group when the subsequent interviews are happening. Like maybe I got interviewed first and I had no idea. I was just responding to the interviewer, and then a little bit later he's interviewing someone else, and I've had a chance to experience it myself, but I'm now watching other people go through their process, and I begin to learn a little bit about how the inquiry coach process actually works. And so at some point I might want to jump in and say, well, wait a minute, couldn't we ask this here? And as soon as I do that, I'm now participating in the conversation. And the person that I asked that might respond to me rather than to the inquiry coach. And so it does gradually shift to a facilitated process, and eventually it shifts to a non-facilitated process. So think of it as interview to bootstrap, eventually conversations that are one-on-one that are witnessed, eventually cross-cutting conversations, eventually facilitated process, and eventually non-facilitated process. At that point, the inquiry coach is just as much as a participant as anyone else, and eventually you just dispense with the inquiry coaches altogether because the community knows how to be a community.